What if I told you that the reason your life feels stuck, the reason you keep attracting the same toxic patterns, the same draining relationships, the same emotional chaos, has nothing to do with bad luck? What if the real problem is something you're holding on to right now without even knowing it? Stay with me, because what Carl Jung discovered about energy, consciousness, and the empath's invisible field will fundamentally change how you understand yourself. And by the end of this, you'll know exactly what to release to unlock the most powerful version of who you are. Carl Jung understood something that modern psychology is only now catching up to. He said that until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. And nowhere is this more devastating than in the life of an empath. You see, empaths don't just carry their own emotions. They absorb the emotional residue of every person they encounter, every room they walk into, every conversation they endure. And over time, that accumulated weight doesn't just affect their mood, it distorts their entire energetic blueprint. Jung called this the psychic contamination of the collective unconscious. And if you don't learn to release it, it will quietly destroy everything you're trying to build. Here's the first thing empaths must release immediately. And trust me, this one alone will change everything. Carl Jung discovered that empaths unconsciously take on what he called the wounded healer archetype. They believe at a cellular level that their purpose is to absorb other people's pain and transform it. But here's what Jung understood that most empaths miss entirely. When you carry someone else's wound, you don't heal them. You simply prevent them from facing their own shadow. And worse, you accumulate energetic debt that was never yours to carry in the first place. Jung called this psychic inflation, the dangerous expansion of the ego that disguises itself as compassion. Releasing this pattern doesn't make you selfish, it makes you sovereign, and that distinction is absolutely critical for what comes next. This is where Jung's research gets genuinely unsettling. According to his work on psychological types, empaths develop what he termed a feeling-function dominance that actually rewires how they experience reality. They become neurologically addicted to emotional extremes because that's the frequency they've been operating on their entire lives. Calm feels suspicious. Peace feels boring. Stability feels like something must be wrong. Jung observed that this creates a dangerous feedback loop. The empath unconsciously seeks out chaos because chaos feels familiar, and familiar feels safe, even when it's destroying them. Releasing this addiction to intensity is what Jung called the first step toward individuation. And without it, every other shift is impossible. But here's where the psychology gets absolutely fascinating. Carl Jung said something that will stop you in your tracks. He said that the shoe that fits one person pinches another. There is no universal recipe for living. And yet empaths spend their entire lives being told they're too much, too sensitive, too emotional. They internalize this message so deeply that it becomes part of their shadow, their unlived truth buried beneath layers of shame. Jung discovered that when empaths release this false narrative, something extraordinary happens. Their sensitivity doesn't diminish, it transforms. It shifts from being a wound into becoming what Jung called a transcendent function, the ability to perceive reality at depths that most people cannot even comprehend. The empath who stops apologizing for their depth doesn't become less sensitive. They become dangerously perceptive, and that perception becomes their greatest power. What happens next will completely redefine how you understand energetic boundaries. According to Carl Jung's theory of the shadow self, empaths hide their capacity for boundaries in the deepest, darkest corner of their unconscious. They've been conditioned to believe that setting limits means being unloving, that saying no means being cruel, that protecting their energy means being selfish. But Jung identified something extraordinary about this pattern. He called it enantiodromia, the principle that everything eventually becomes its opposite when pushed to an extreme. The empath who never says no eventually reaches a breaking point. And when they do, the no doesn't come gently. It comes as total withdrawal, complete shutdown, absolute disappearance. Jung understood that the healthy alternative is learning to say no consciously, deliberately, without guilt. Because a boundary spoken with love is infinitely more powerful than a wall built from resentment. And when empaths release this guilt, their entire energetic field restructures itself. And now we arrive at the fifth and most important release. And honestly, this is the one that transforms everything. Carl Jung called this the death of the old self, and he considered it the most terrifying and most necessary passage in all of human psychological development. Empaths who have been through betrayal, manipulation, and emotional devastation are not the same people they were before those experiences. And yet, they keep trying to return to that version of themselves. They grieve who they used to be. They miss their innocence, their trust, their openness. But Jung discovered something profound about this grief. He said it wasn't sadness at all. It was resistance to becoming who you were always meant to be. The old self had to dissolve so the individuated self could emerge. Not harder, not colder, not less loving, but infinitely more discerning, more conscious, more whole. Jung said that the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. And for empaths, that means releasing the ghost of who you were so you can fully inhabit who you've become. Here's what Carl Jung understood that ties all of this together. Your quantum field, your energetic signature, your psychological blueprint, whatever you choose to call it, is not fixed. It responds to what you hold and what you release. Every unprocessed wound, every false belief, every guilt-ridden boundary you refuse to set creates static in that field. It scrambles the signal of who you really are. But when you release these 5 things, something Jung called the constellation of the self begins to occur. Your field clears, your perception sharpens, your relationships transform. You stop attracting people who drain you and start magnetizing those who match your actual frequency. The empath who has done this inner work becomes what Jung termed the individuated being, someone who has faced their shadow, integrated their power, and emerged not diminished, but expanded, not wounded, but refined, not broken, but absolutely, irrevocably whole. And that, according to everything Carl Jung spent his lifetime studying, is the most profound transformation a human being can undergo. Not becoming someone new, but finally, completely, unapologetically becoming yourself, the version of you that existed before the world told you to shrink, the version that feels everything and fears nothing, the version that is done releasing their power and ready to reclaim it. That is the awakened empath, and once that quantum field shifts, nothing and no one can ever push you back into the dark again.